lost in the music, can I stay here for the night? I promise I'll be gone in the morning, out of sight and out of mind. Snowblind, out of sight and out of mind.
Hello, welcome back. We are getting into AS and Masa versus Jon Snow and Joe Obama. Hello again. I believe everyone is ready.
Excellent.
Quite. Alright, so Central Protocol will again be the first map of this best of 5. All best of 5s tonight, including the finals. The winners of this best of 5 will go on to face the winners of the last one, which were Sasori and Deidara. So a ZV something. Potentially a ZVZ, maybe a ZVT. We'll see.
So this one's really interesting to me in particular because if we take our step away from the CSL for a moment, and if this was not an Archon mode tournament, but it was in fact one of each player from each team, Jon Snow for the red and Masa for the purple, this would actually be this would be like a finals I wouldn't mind seeing in a North American tournament. So this is actually, there's some pretty good players playing, and we're going to see how this turns out. So starting off on Central Protocol, here in the other semifinals for the CSL, in the bottom right, we've got AS and Masa.
In the top right, as the Red Zerg, it is Jon Snow and Joe Obama. We're playing for the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institutes versus the Ryerson University. So, right, this does feel like just basically Masa versus Jon Snow, and then hopefully their respective partners cannot weigh them down. But, I mean, that might be a little bit too cruel to their partners.
At least that is a little bit, because it's like saying, okay, Masa and Deadweight versus Jon Snow and Deadweight. Like, that's not, not exactly fair to say.
It's a mean way to put it.
So speaking as the player who has always been the underleagued guy when he's playing with other people in Archon mode, whether it's with Zombie or Crank or Nathanius or whoever, there's actually a lot you can do as a player who's not as good to still contribute significantly to the team. It's small things like babysitting AFK SCVs. It's huge things like microing or taking over macro temporarily. I mean, there's no point in which having a teammate is a bad thing. It's always going to be better as long as your communication with that teammate is good enough to support it.
Tell that to Bales.
That's a whole nother can of worms. Bales is a very special case.
Yeah, so, I mean, as much of a joke that was, I mean, that was a case where he actually did better once his opponent accidentally lagged out, and I'm sure, like, his opponent wasn't, it's not like that he's, like, a bad guy or anything, like, he just was, like, maybe their communication wasn't top-notch, and once that Bales was able to, you know, focus, by himself, he was doing better, who knows. It's the dynamic of Archon mode, and the dynamic of team games in general that is just not usually found in an RTS, in the 1v1 sector, and it can be interesting, it can be unlifting, it can be dead weights, it can be a lot of things, but there are certainly different ways to play Archon mode. The most obvious being macro, micro, but some other ways are just player and spotter can be quite effective. Professionals do it, so, and I'm sure more ways will be discovered later. But of course, we do have a 2-racked Reaper build on our hand, and a bunkered finish, so that's going to make this a little bit more difficult for Zerg players.
Yeah, and the question, I mean, like, this is where I think, if nothing else, the wealth of knowledge of the pro player comes into play. Any other average Zerg, I'm sure they just rely on Lings and purely Lings. Jon Snow might be smart enough to say, hey, let's get a Roachhorn down. We're going to need that to break this.
Yeah, the Roachhorn is the easiest way, but not the only way, and enough Lings will eventually break this. Just, it's not... You lose out on so many Lings, and by doing so, you lose out on so many drones not made, basically. Now,
Yeah.
Masa and AS have already lost one Reaper, and that's really not what you want. You know, against a Queen and slow Lings, you should really about not losing any Reapers. There's a second Reaper right there, and since they stopped making Reapers, this last one coming in right now, they are going to, I think, lose at least one more. Oh, that was weird. Knocked his own Reaper back. This isn't gonna quite work out. I mean, if you have like 10 Reapers, they can take on almost everything. Like, it doesn't even matter to the Lings, it'll full surround. You know, half of them are still gonna survive. But with only 4 or 5 as that did not go well. And what's unfortunate is that while this build is very good because it has a bunch of follow-up opportunities, it's not good if you lose the Reapers. The Reapers are literally your only defense. You need to keep them alive.
Yeah, I mean, beyond all this too, the Roach Warren's coming up next, so it's not even just like, okay, there's Lings and Roaches, it's Lings and Roaches, but more specifically Ravagers. This is not a situation I think gets much better for the Terran team.
Yeah, they even messed up the wall a little bit with both the racks on purpose, and the factory I think was an accident. And no reactor too, so yeah, the Hellions are coming out, but obviously very slowly. There are Hellions, so they're helpful against the Lings, but not against the Roaches that are following up, and AS and Masa are quickly losing control of the situation, even if they're not quite dying yet.
Well, the thing is though, right, and I guess this is weird to consider because there's no army, and honestly that's the biggest factor right now, the fact that there is no army in play. It's 3 CCs, and more importantly 3 orbitals here momentarily. AS and Masa, if they live, are going to have a really nice economy coming out of this.
There's no bunker. First defense is not even there. Second defense is already kind of broken down at half health right here. First being that wall, and this is not looking so hot. These are Roaches coming across the field. What helped the Reapers get across quicker is now helping the clumsy Roaches get across quicker, and Ling reinforcements will make this even more hectic, so it's looking like game.
Yeah, SCV is getting pulled into it. I really didn't expect, I mean, again, like, I don't know who does what. We have no idea who's controlling which part of the Archon. But that Reaper control was just not where it needed to be. It didn't take this game by storm. Bunker finishes up. Tank comes out. And they might hold this push for a time, for a moment. But they've thrown away so many SCVs into this.
Yeah, down to 11 SCVs. Now this versus 26 drones. If they could actually stabilize and push off the army from both their main and natural, if they get to drops, maybe they can really come back, but they'd have to still get there with no starport, but they can't even control their main. So GG, Zerg is 1-0.
Congratulations, Jon Snow and Joe Obama.
Yeah. I mean, as good as that feels, or as good as that looks if you're a Zerg player, being able to push back a 2-rack Reaper, because I'm sure a lot of people are having trouble with it, it's not really an all-in build, and I even hesitate to call it a cheese. And you might say Terran bias, which you wouldn't be entirely wrong, but it just, it almost never ends games, so, you know, by the definition of cheese, it will almost always, end the game at a certain point, or it just loses, basically. With the Reapers, it usually doesn't end a game, and it usually just doesn't just end if it doesn't work, either. The game keeps going, whether you got a lead or you fell a little bit behind, so... I just use it as an opener, and unfortunately for that opener, they did just not control it correctly. PRION TERRACES chosen by the Terrans. Okay. That's what you want to do.
This actually, so I mean, they might hope that the Zerg player goes for the gold and in turn go for heavier Reapers again.
That's true. A mind game right there. I mean, they might just, you know, be okay with letting a Zerg get a fast potential 2 golds, actually. There are some builds out there. And just be happy they're getting their own gold, too, eventually. Maybe they're looking forward to that mid-game. What am I missing? Masa... And Jon Snow. Jon Snow is in... Oh, he's busy. Ah, excuse me. Okay, now everyone's in. Ready? Ready, Freddy?
Ready, steady, Freddy.
Okay.
Also, so is Eddie.
Ready, Freddy, Eddie.
And my
Ed,
little
and
Teddy.
Eddie.
But you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of ready for Betty.
Haha, clever. Of course, we're on Bay Straight TV, have to cast in about 9 hours. Lima League, so.
Oh, I just met that really hot chick, Betty.
Betty. Pretty close, I'll give you that one. That's a good switcheroo. Okay. PRION TERRACES, game number 2. In the bottom right, this was their map choice, and they're down 1-0. It's the Blue Terran, Masa, and Aegis.
And their opponents... Oops, my camera didn't get stuck in here for some reason. There we go. On top left, Jon Snow, Joe Obama. Thanks a lot, Joe Obama.
You ruin everything. Okay, so...
I mean, you think about it, 100% Joe Obama's responsible for the poor Terran economy.
Is he, though? I mean, maybe he's not the macro player. Or the micro player of the Zerg would hurt the economy of the Terran? Damn it. Confused myself.
Why are you picking apart my clever political sense of humor? God, Jesus.
Because I'm a Democrat, I have to defend him. Just in our bones. No, I'm kidding.
4 more years! Oh, wait.
Yeah, right.
Dude, it's
That's
so weird.
un-American.
I know we talked about this before, but I still... it's the hardest thing for me to wrap my head around, because I think it was right when I started getting into politics that... It was at that same sort of time where Bush was coming to the end of his term and Obama was becoming really popular. And everyone was like, oh my god, are we going to have a black president? Like, no way, this would never happen. And then it's been 8 years, and there's that whole thing about the shower thoughts about how kids who were born 8 years ago haven't seen anything since. I can't wait to, like... I really hope someone does one of those things like YouTubers react, but like with those kids in a couple of years to be like, so what do you guys think about a black president? Was that a weird thing for you guys? Because I can't imagine any of them say yes.
Well, yeah. It'd be like asking me, was it weird for the president to have a sex scandal? I'd be like, isn't that like what all presidents do? Because I grew up in the Clinton era, you know? So, totally imagine that. That actually really messed up my perception of the government for a long time, I gotta say. Not that I imagine them all having sex and whatnot, like a bunch of like rebel rousers, but like, I just imagine them all being corrupt. So, I mean, that's stayed consistent, right?
Well, you will like this. So Monica Lewinsky, I didn't know who that was, and I never actually saw a picture of her until like even a couple years ago. I always just assumed when I was younger, because I didn't understand things at all, that was Monica from Friends.
Oh, I think I had that same misconception until I saw her picture. That's hilarious. That is funny. But that aside, we do have another 2-rack Reaper opener, trying to highlight just on the camera here. So kind of like what you were saying, like if Jon Snow and Joe Obama had tried to go for like the third gold base as a natural, this would be a little bit harder to defend. It's not quite as common of a build though versus Terran as it is versus Protoss, so it's like, you know, that they shouldn't have put all of their eggs in that one basket, and they haven't. 2-rack Reaper can be very good, just all depends on the control, which was lacking last game.
It's almost insane just how big of a deal losing one Reaper early on can change everything. Just how snowball dependent it is, but same kind of goes for the Zerg players. Like losing a Queen this early really sucks.
Yeah, this is already going so much better for the Terran, and it's not because Jon Snow and Joe Obama had anything, you know, better going for them. You know, they didn't get a faster scout last game or something like that. They just didn't expect it to work because last time it worked so poorly, and now it is snowballing. Now the Reapers should survive. Once again, it is your only defense for a time, especially if you're going for the 3rd CC fast. Either have to survive or have to take like a hell of a lot of lanes down with them.
The way they should have really ran there too was, I mean, they're going to escape through the back, so it's nice they'll get some of these Reapers out alive, but this base here is a really great cliff to take advantage of because you can hop off on either side instead of just one. Not this cliff, but the one they were just on seconds ago. Nope. 4th base, 5th base, I mean, middle of the map.
Oh, this one. Yeah,
There you go.
Okay, you meant going from here to here. Gotcha.
Since we're not having the mouse, sorry, I don't know how to describe things, I guess. I've become too lazy from always having the camera.
Well, the Roach Warren is no longer just a reaction to, you know, getting a lead here. It seems to be the way that they were planning on going anyways, is they get a third base at the gold as well. Because with the Reapers, believe it or not, just keeping at least, you know, at least 4 Reapers alive as opposed to losing all of them really stops a Zerg player from being able to get this counterattack of Lings and then snowballing into the Roach follow-up. Like, you are a lot safer with this handful and a ramp and hopefully a bunker than you are without. But there's also a Banshee coming out for our Terran players. This is going to be really nice. So again, even if the Roaches were offensive, the Banshee would take care of them.
Well, it's not only that, but we're also seeing this kind of take that place of the Liberator. The
canceling their hatchery that quickly, damn.
Oh, you know what I'm wondering? We talked about this before, but I know I haven't looked it up since we brought it up. But you said you're playing today. Did they, is there a patch? Are the Thors different? I remember we were bringing this up because our cast with the carrier build time.
So I actually did get a Thor, but I didn't pay attention to what it was doing, so...
Well, then the real question is, why the fuck did you build a Thor?
It was because the guy, okay, this is not just habit, by the way. This wasn't just like, oh, I built Thors on Heart of the Swarm. No, this guy was going Heart of the Swarm. He went up to 25 mutas. I was like, what are you doing? This isn't Heart of the Swarm.
Why did you just go Liberators? Why would you build a Thor?
Because I had a second factory, the Tech Lab, and I wanted to build Medivacs.
Ugh.
Not Liberators, because Liberators, I don't know, I don't like them in TVZ versus Mutilating Bling.
Sometimes I really do wonder who carries who. Gosh.
Bitch, you know that they don't go Liberators that commonly versus Mutilating Bling.
What did you just say?
So bitch, please. Oh, I didn't hear the ping, but I see it. That's weird.
Yeah. I heard it's a little...
I didn't see it on the minimap either. I'd actually be over it to see it.
No, that is weird then. Alright, Banshee takes off a couple of drones. Counterattack on the other side of the map around that third, but it's not much.
Oh no, fresh mules!
Actually, that does kind of suck losing fresh mules.
One fresh mule goes down, the other one wastes a little bit of time. But the Banshees are such a problem. I mean, they already... They didn't even get the cancel. 2 Hellions and a handful of Reapers got the first cancel on a gold base. If they kill this gold base, that is absolutely terrible for Jon Snow and Obama.
Well, there's 4 queens here with transfuses. I really hope they don't kill this base. I'll be very upset with Jon Snow if that's the case.
There it is.
Yeah, but one of the Banshees already burned all its energy. The second one could sit there for a small time, but not both. In fact, one gets sniped off pretty quick. I gotta let my cat inside really quick. Sorry, be right back.
Well, regardless, even if the Banshees don't take down that third base, they are still helpful versus the Roaches. If you control them, they won't be hit by the Raptor shots, and I would still give the lead to Masa and Aes. I mean, look at this. Look at the numbers right here. The army ahead for them. The SCV count ahead for them. They got that gold base up faster, because of course there was the cancel on the third to begin with. And they're just looking much, much better. Their upgrades are a little bit ahead, too. I mean, this is looking really great for the Terrans. Medivacs are kind of far away from popping out, and that's the only downside right now, is that they are going to give Jon Snow and Obama the time to come back. You know, get that nice drone count, get a 4th base that's also a gold. But they still got, like, a nice boost from the early and early mid-game. It's going to be Roach Hydra for Jon Snow and Obama. You know, even if they were planning on going for that Roach Ravager bust that we've been seeing quite a lot, that can be damn effective. It wouldn't have been as potent. They did not have the economy leading up to this, the nice control over the game leading up to this to really accommodate that. They probably just would have had a very lame attack if they tried. But this way, waiting for the Hydras and maybe going for something like 2-2 Roach Hydra attack, like in Heart of the Swarm, the you know, the early game disadvantage will have equalized by then. Banshees might not have gotten a cancel on that third base, but they are getting a lot of work done on the 4th cancel. A couple of queens killed. The Reapers back no, I can't say. Back into the main base. Jesus. Doing some damage there. The Hellions try to go into the third base, and it kind of still works out, even though the Ravagers paid attention. Not bad. That was some seriously good multi-pronged harassment based on units that you weren't really going to use otherwise.
20 workers killed in total. This gives a nice little 70 to 45 worker lead for the Terran. Of course, it is strange because gold bases typically really only benefit Zerg players most maps because they're taken early and the game's over before this goes anywhere else for the Terran. Reapers get back into the main, but I was just going to say, Masa and Aes coming up on their second gold base before the Zerg players is a really weird sight to see.
Yeah, they're not doing so hot. I just looked at the graphs because I remembered I could and use vision in this game. Oh my god. There's
It's
like
all
no
blue.
point in the like on Zerg's side. They're absolutely just dying here. More harassment going down with the Banshee. It's not being protected. There's no Spore Crawler. They didn't bother to make one. Yeah, it finally goes down.
So I guess, like, all right. I mean, we questioned the map pick, PRION terraces, and we do have Masa and AS taking advantage of it. Now, one of the big things too is they're gonna have crazy production. Like Jon Snow, maybe thinking, all right, we've seen how good ultras can be. Let's go for ultras. Let's close it out. But that hive's so far away. Even if he starts right now, they're gonna die well before that even finishes. Siege tanks up on the high ground, gonna be supporting everything here on the low ground. Marines and Marauders aplenty. And Road Trapper Hydra, this isn't a bad composition. There's just not enough of it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
You finishing in just a moment as well for the Terran.
This game has been quite poor for the Zerg for the last 5 minutes, basically.
That's because they don't have a gold base.
Oh, well. Just stimming a win right there. GG, evening it up to 1-1.
Congrats to Masa and Ace.
Yeah. Now, they did a nice job on that map. You know, they got to that mid-game where they had their own advantage. They had their own golds, and they were able to keep the Zerg off of the 3rd and 4th for quite some time. So now, you aren't just, evening the game up. You even the game up while taking a potential good map choice from the Zerg. That could have been in their back pocket as the ace, their nice PRION Terraces gold-based map, but now they don't have it. LERILAK will be next, so that's another... Okay, whatever. Hing.
Hing or ping?
Put a hing on it.
I'll give you a hing, girl.
Hinga dinga durgan. Oh, let's get everyone in here. If you're just tuning in, this is the second semifinal. We already have the other team determined, so who they're going to face in the finals will be Pikes Peak. Of course, that $2,000 prize pool looking quite nice. Scholarship money. And if you've never heard of the CSL before, I find that awfully surprising. You just stumbled on here? I don't believe you. But if you have not before, just know that it is the Collegiate Star League. So just imagine a college sports, but instead college esports. Up. And we're waiting.
Yeah. Can we switch?
Races? No, they can't.
What?
Do they want to switch partners, or... Oh.
What does it matter if he's the top Archon or not?
Change anything?
I'm pretty positive that doesn't affect anything.
Oh. Ha! That is
Oh, skins. Okay. That's actually a fair point. Somebody wants... Oh. Shit, you know what that basically means though, right?
They're gonna Overlord drop? What?
No. If Jon Snow wants skins, the only skin you can have is the Terrace, right?
No. You can have...
Oh, Overlords and Lings. I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would find it...
interpreted that as like, hey, give me lead so I can have my Ultralist skin in the game. Not because we're going them or anything.
I mean, I would be surprised if Jobama didn't have the Ling skin and the Overlord skin. So I kind of saw where you were going, but I don't know. Maybe it's a new account. Because the thing is... Okay, well, actually, we'll talk about it after the introductions. Okay. The score is even. Sorry, there we go. In the top right on LERILAK CREST, it is the Archon, the purple Zerg Archon, Jon Snow, and Jobama.
I love how the slash just makes it like one word, John's Joba.
John's Joba.
And at the top left, it would be Masa Ace if it wasn't made up of Masa and Ace.
Alright. So, there's actually a lot of... I guess not a lot, but there is some complaints about especially Zerg skins on those Lings, because ZVZ, it was harder to count Lings. So, like, they get really big and, like, fluffy when they have those wings, so it can be hard to count. So some people actually use that to try and take a little bit of an advantage in games, and that's why they're technically not allowed in the WCS when you play in it, but I don't know if that's really going to change the way the game is. I think Johnson just likes his skins.
Maybe.
Also, the Overlord skin, it looks so stupid and crappy that it might be confused with a transporting Overlord, or vice versa. Like, it is a transporting Overlord, and they just see it and they're like, oh, it's an ugly, like, skin Overlord.
I would definitely love to see them try and make drop Overlords work, though, just now that you bring that up. Maybe we've been spoiled by the likes of Sulky, and I love seeing experimentation, but I guess... Oh, pardon me. Oh. I do guess that with this being close to the finals, we're not going to see random strategies brought out of a back pocket. Like, this is... It's still tied up on one. It's still early in the series. No one's life is in danger just yet, so... Well, it wouldn't be worth risking a build you're not comfortable with. If Jon Snow has been watching Bay Straight TV, or he's subbed to the channel and got all the Sulky replay packs, or the Illuma League, or whatever, I mean... it would certainly be advantageous if they could use it.
So, this is a little bit awkward. The build that Jon Snow and Jabama are doing have been giving some Terrans trouble. Of course, going for that one base pool and one base speed. Basically, what happens is that, you know, you either get the cancel straight up because you first take the SEV off, it has to, you know, get a buddy to join it, and the Reaper comes back and deals with it. Or, like, you know, the Reaper doesn't come back and you actually get the complete cancel, that's the best. But either way, the follow-up of Speedlings, if you don't get this command center finished with this SCV, can actually definitively get the command center cancel, and that's kind of the goal of it. But this SCV wasn't really kept off the command center for that long, and it looks like it's going to finish it, and that's, if it does, oh, it's so close, it does, that is quite bad for Jon Snow and Jabama, to be honest.
So... It could have saved the SCV, just a small detail since it had lifted, but...
Yeah. Oh well. But that is a really big deal. I mean, it's so slight, but it's the... Why they went this build. It's why they kept the hatch rail for a little bit longer, is that they wanted to get the cancel on the command center. And, you know, you get a cancel on the command center that's 75% done. That is quite a long way to go again, up on the high ground, too. Now, it's just a couple of lings that are kind of containing. If Moss and Ace were going for Hellions, it would just be a matter of seconds until they got, you know, 2-4 Hellions. If they're going for anything else, then it doesn't matter if they can go down the ramp or not. Like, this tank drop will still happen regardless of if the lings are here or not. So, it's just not a great start for Jon Snow and Jabama.
Now, this is cool because we do talk about this a fair bit, but tank drops... They have a very different dynamic in Archon mode than they do in regular 1v1s. Oh, Reaper gets a kill, not bad.
Yeah.
I was gonna say with the tank drops though, this is something where in 1v1s, we talk about this not being so good because there's a pretty large dedication of gas. I mean, there's like, what, 225 gas in between these two units? And it can't always get a lot of kills, but in Archon mode, you should be able to micro to at least pick off creep tumors, like at the bare minimum. Go in there, get maybe some ling kills, pick off drones, harass queens. I mean, it can do a lot of stuff when one player gets to dedicate to focusing with that siege tank.
Whoops. So, this siege tank, even with in the hands of Archon mode, is not really effective until it has 2. And there comes the second tank drop. Now they can kind of protect each other and can actually kill queens. Lings are still okay against them, obviously, especially with the added delay, which wasn't set in stone to begin with in the beginning of beta. Now with the delay, it is a lot harder to make these do a lot of damage.
Still not a fan. Still not a fan.
Yeah, I know. So that's, you know, that's another reason why we don't see tank drops as often, and of course the fact that they just do better in Archon mode than in 1v1. You know, there are better options for if it's only 1v1, such as a Hellbite Liberator push, a Marine drop, even a Widowmine drop would do better. These tank drops, though, can lead into a follow-up push, which is what we saw a lot of in the very beginning of Legacy of the Void with QXE and PCQD. So even if they didn't do any damage at all, which these like aren't really doing a whole lot, the follow-up on 2 bases, which they are going for a 2-base build right now, can be effective. Just make sure you keep the freaking units alive, right? And then you have 2 tanks right off the bat, you know, being carried. That can add a lot of weight to a push.
Well, the Spire begins, and we'll be curious to see what comes out of this. If it's Mutaling and Baneling, I don't know. It's just it's fallen out of the matchup, and for good reason. Tanks.
Yeah. The economy has something to do with it. The larva injects being different has something to do with it, and just better options too. Like Roach Ravager can be just straight up stronger if you use it correctly. So it's not looking like so hot. Again, the opener didn't really work out for Jon Snow and Joe Obama. They have this push now to deal with, which I'm not sure they're quite ready for. They are banking so many minerals and gas, preparing for mutas, but mutas might not be able to help them. You know, they definitely can if they're controlled correctly. They can snipe off these tanks, which are so important. But, you know, incorrectly, they're not going to be very helpful versus this many Marines.
10 mutas. At most.
Maybe a little overzealous pushing in here. I don't want to creep after all, but maybe not. Cerebral Hooks isn't done.
No. No bang speed. Muta's on the way. Roachhorn's the first thing to go. This Viking's gonna get a couple Overlord kills. This is supply block, Jon Snow, Jobana, which is gonna be devastating, frankly. Mutas are gonna spawn here in parts. This is the lair going down at the natural base, not the main, so this really sucks. Rebuilding any of this tech is out of the question. The Mutas pop and they get shredded. Overlord's gonna go down as well. And oh, that's where the Baneling Nest is. Oh, if they stop Baneling speed, that's gonna be game. Jon Snow, I hope you weren't the macro player this game, man, because there was some very disappointing decisions made in this natural base.
Well, that is true. The other big problem was that they just never got a secondary scout, and you can't really blame a Zerg, to be honest. After they see that it's a command center, so it's not a 2 racks or a proxy 3 racks. What?
I know you're trying to be a good commentator right now, but they have ultras. You can always blame Zerg.
Okay, we can always blame Zerg. But seriously, like, there's one thing you have to scout, and it's no longer whether it's mech or bio, because who goes mech, really? It is whether they're doing a 2-base build or a 3-base build. I mean, it's not, they didn't scout it, and they weren't really prepared for it. And then Terran also had the bit of an advantage being horizontal spawns on LERILAK CREST, so they were able to use the short distance, this little ridge here for the natural, and they just had a really nice game overall, basically. Not the worst Baneling hits, but still tons of Marines left over, and that is good game. Terran will now go up 2-1.
Congratulations, Mas and Ace.
So Ryerson University is now in the lead. We are waiting on the Zerg's map choice once again. Ugh. Man, so I don't know if you saw the group chat with our friends or whatever, but I could have sworn I had 4 hermit crabs.
What?
I only have 3.
What?
Yeah, I was cleaning out the tank, you know, being a responsible owner, and I could have sworn I had 4. I had 2, and then I got another 2 like 6 months ago. But then I looked and I couldn't find the 4th one. So he either escaped, or they ate him after he died.
I was gonna go back one more time. What?
Just, yeah, interesting tidbit for anyone else who has hermit crabs. They're cannibals. Only out of necessity, though. Or convenience.
Sorry, current hermit crabs in danger or what? I don't understand. Like,
No, like I could have sworn I had 4 hermit crabs.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, has their lust for blood been sated? Will there be more kills? Are you gonna wake up talking about 2 hermit crabs?
I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, though. They're usually, like, they don't look to cannibalize. They just do it out of convenience, so their lust
do it out of good nature. Like, you know how your cat, where she'll sit down, she, like, kind of pads the ground a couple of times? That's like hermit crabs and murder.
I mean, it's like, you know, if you died, your cats would probably eat your face. That's just nature.
I thought my cat wouldn't, though.
I mean, I don't know. Because people always say that, right? They're like, dogs never do that. Dogs do it all the time. Well, cats would do that too. Well, some cats don't. Like, not everyone who's ever died with a pet has had its face eaten off. I saw a picture of it once, not safe for work. It was definitely gross. Hope you're all enjoying the commentary. Ah.
Yep. If you aren't blaming Masa for taking 1,000,000 years to get in the lobby.
1,000,000 years, yes. You know, compared to the lobbies you have to wait for our own casts. This is actually quite quick. Masa! Masa!
Masa, mate, get your ass in here. Rifkin's being a grump right now. He's hecka tired.
Grump, grump. Okay, another one.
Actually, I was speaking with an organizer to not be named, but one of the other bigger ones out there.
Sure.
And we're kind of discussing how interesting it is. You see players like, you know, you take the Koreans, I guess, as the extreme, because they are, let's be honest, what everyone puts as like the top dogs in StarCraft. When it comes to getting to the next game for them, you almost can't stop them. It's like, slow the hell down. The casters need to catch up. But when it does come to North American players, we tend to run into a lot of these situations where I don't know what they're doing. Run to the bathroom every 5 minutes, going super AFK. I mean, there's some players who actually need bathroom breaks between every single game, and it's just I am curious what the difference is when it comes to like, because like micro macro, you can definitely attribute to training and practice in harsh environments to Korea, but just like between game attitudes seem to vary so harshly in each region as well. Just no one else really gets to see those other than the casters, I guess, behind the scenes.
Yeah, lobby makers. I don't know. I always view Koreans, since they're known for practicing like 60 games a day or something extreme like that. They're just looking to they're trying to hit a quota. Whereas foreigners just kind of like, yeah, I think I would practice today. I'll just take a chill pill though.
All right. Well, starting off this game in Orena. In the bottom left is going to be the combination of the purple Archon, Ace, and Masa.
In the top left as the red Zerg Archon is Jon Snow and Joe Obama. Okay, so it's Arena. Oh, it's a pretty damn short map, but we still have to wait to see what their builds are. It looks like Ace and Masa aren't going to be going for that 2x Reaper like they did the first two games, so their macro build here. Jon Snow and Joe Bomb are not going to try that fast pool again, which was unsuccessful in the last game. We do want to talk about the map itself, of course. Not a very popular map. Has this little choke as he's going through right now to really kind of make it quite frustrating for both players. For any race, too. Like, no one really has an advantage unless they're on the other side in a concave. Whatever units they have. Tanks, Ravagers, Adepts. It all sucks to get through that little choke there. But you can block it off, and it'll give you alert warning, advanced warning, to like a Ravager rush. And that can mean life or death for Terran.
Yeah, I like the idea of a depot going down there. I also, who's it? Oh, we cast one recently. They put a Spore Crawler in there. Was that with you, or was that when I was solo casting?
It must have been your solo casting, I don't remember that.
Okay, that was probably Lee Fang Cup this week. Yeah, there was They put a Spore Crawler as a Zerg player in that little hole just to plug it up and keep the Terran from walking through. It's kind of cool.
That is cool.
I got a bad case of the camera tilts, though. I don't know where this came from. Like, just out of nowhere. Oh, observing features. You're so refined and perfect. Psych.
Reaper dances around a little bit. Not too problematic as there's only one Reaper. Ling's on top of the SCVs yet again, but it's only two, and there's not a scare of a follow-up Ling attack. Oh, but there's a Roach Warren.
Sorry guys, we're getting a bit distracted from the stream delay as everyone's catching up with our cat and dog conversation. The kitty cat and puppy dogs.
Kitty cats and puppy dogs just eating your face off there.
So when did they come up with a dog version of Neko Atsumi, right? Like for the...
Oh, it's already there. Olivia plays it.
Damn it.
Yeah. Please. Please.
I still want to download that game, but I haven't. There's a good depot, though. So for AS and Masa, again, this doesn't seem like much, guys, but even just that 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds it takes to break this depot is that alert, that warning, and that time for AS and Masa to get in positioning, or pull back from a drop that's just left the base, or even unload the medevacs at the top of the ramp. I mean, there's a lot of great things this one depot does, other than just provide supply.
Well, they are going to need that advanced warning, as they did not get a sight on that Roach Warren. And they didn't take the Zelnaga either, so this is going to be their first warning. And their only warning, they don't bother with a bunker, so they're going to have to definitely give up their natural, but they might be able to hold into the main. We'll see what happens. They're going for their 2-base build, which is going to help the production.
Yeah, the drop's going off, but we got that depot already got broken. Johnstone and Jabama are already at the natural base, and ASMS are going to have to lift up.
That's funny. The Woodmine just like turns around immediately after the Woodmine is dropped.
Yeah, 5 kills on the Woodmine is going to be nice. If we get a couple more, even better, but this might be game?
If that was a medevac instead of a Viking, they need to start a medevac right now. Oh, but it's reply blocked.
That was a double depot that went down.
The medevac coming back home will be the medevac. If they can get that tank out and save SCVs, I don't know how they're going to save the SCVs.
But the time it's going to take to siege that tank up and then pick it up and drop it, I mean, the SCVs are already gone.
They would have. Oh man, if they had just run around with the SCVs, I think the siege tank could have done it.
This is not a 3cc build, and on 2 SCVs left. That's gonna be it for AS and Masa.
Yeah, it is. If they had just run around, if they had 13 SCVs alive, I think they could bring this game back. But, 2 is much, much worse. And, they would have had that tank drop all set up, and all that really would have meant was running around with the SCVs. Instead of all of them going to attack, just, kind of ring around the rosy, because roaches are still slow. But they did try and just attack, and it didn't work out. Now this tank drop has to do a lot of damage, and it can get a couple of nice shots. It can on these drones, but it will have to be on the drones. You can't just kill a queen and say job's done.
Well, blasting away some lings is okay. I really want to hype this up for a comeback, because if AS and Masa do bring this back, that's a pretty epic game. But the likelihood of this is so low, and while the tank's not going to be immediately cleaned up, they don't really need to stop this. They've just got so many workers.
The tank really... What the hell is this drop? The tank just really needs to be getting workers, like not damaging a hatchery. At least it's difficult to do, but... I don't know, I just like dropping here instead of over there? I don't know. Medevac drop is holding 1 single Marine. I think it might have been holding like 3 and then a couple of roaches killed it, but 1 Marine isn't going to cut it. 3rd base is not even being scouted. The SCV count is slowly growing, but it's 14 to 40 now.
This... Again, if there's like a 3rd CC for this looks so different. But tank drop's still attempting to harass on the other side of the field. Lair starts up because I imagine they're getting kind of frustrated and thinking more towards the lines of Mutalisks. But honestly, if Johnstone and Jabama don't dedicate to an army right now, their 3rd base is up. This doesn't have to be an attack for them, and I kind of feel like this does risk throwing the game the way they're pushing in like this. No, not throwing the game, excuse me, throwing their army away. But, never mind, take that back. Tank goes down, that's going to be game. That was the one thing keeping them in this. That one tank could have defended all of this, but there's the snipe. Zerg Hype, 2-1.
Alright, alright. So the last couple of maps will be what? Ruins? Ruins... Orbital Shipyard is still available? Yeah, I think so. Those aren't bad maps for the Terran.
So keep in mind, guys, if you're just tuning in, this is not... this is the 2nd semifinals of 2, and there's going to be a grand finals that comes up after this.
Ruins it is. So ace match into the best of 5 finals. Absolutely on schedule too. That's odd.
That is really odd.
An hour about. Never happens.
Wait, what'd you see? Ace match? No, this is 2-1, is it?
Is it? No, it's 2-2. I don't know.
Is it? Am I crazy? I thought that was just 2-1. Let me go check. I feel like I'm crazy.
I don't. Now I don't know. I thought it was, but now I'm really unsure.
No, you're right. You're right. It's 2-2. That's my bad.
Okay.
I didn't realize that was the last life of one of those teams at all. I had the score wrong written down on my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so this... Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. So then, yeah, sorry guys. For those who don't know, I'm not going to try and play this off like it's not a thing. It's been really difficult to do late night casts the last couple of days on our channel. It's even a little bit tougher here on the CSL as it does start later than anything else we've done. My brain is in Korea time mode still. So.
You gonna join?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize the live. I was looking at the replays, confirming whether it was 2-2 or not.
Oh, yeah. Okay, they are ready to go. Oh, well, actually, the other team didn't say ready. Shit.
Well, let's hope they're ready.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, at worst, only one person has to be ready for the first minute, you know? It's fine. Okay, so the ace match confirmed. 2-2 in the top left on Ruins of SERAS. It is their map choice. It is the purple Terran team, Ace and Masa.
And in the lower right, ooh, a very sharp-looking yellow for the Zerg Archon, Joe Obama and Jon Snow. And Jon Snow doesn't have leader, Zombie. You messed up.
Oh
now
no,
skins,
I done
now
effed
those
it up.
skins.
Oh no. Well, they
They
didn't
killed
use them
Paris.
anyway. They didn't use the Overlord skin. I don't even remember if they used the Ling skin. I never got the Ultras.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of an interesting thing, because that was one of the first things I want to jump on in the series, where we're going to talk about, like, Jon Snow and Ultras and all this stuff, but we haven't actually seen it get to that point yet. Now, Ultralisks, I do want to emphasize this to everybody who's been watching Nation Wars, or you saw Scarlet's games, or maybe you've just had bad experiences on the ladder yourself. Ultras are not the automatic win. They're frigging good in almost an automatic win. But there are a lot of ways to deal with them, and if this match gets to that point, I am really curious to see what Masa and Ace's approach is going to be. But I do once again want to emphasize that Ultras are not the end-all be-all. There are ways to beat them. We see players, granted, like Koreans, manage to do it all the time, but it's something where we'll see. The reason we talk about this is too, as well. It's not just because we're bored and looking for something to talk about. Ruins of SERAS is a really big map. It's a great macro map, and if you're not going to go Nidus Worm as a Zerg player, you're probably aiming for Ultras.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. I mean, and they got the cross spawns too, so they're gonna have plenty of time to do a fast Ultralisk build, which plenty of them exist out there. Variety of ways to get there, whether it's Roach Ravager into Ultras later on, or Ling into Roach Ravager but upgraded melee into like quicker Ultras. Just trying to go for Lings and Infestors is also something you can try and do, but hasn't been very successful. There are so many ways to do so, and the longer the rush distance, the better are you all. Better off you are in trying to get to those Ultras. Words are hard. But the SUVs,
Tell me about it.
these scouts, is actually going to get away too. The Reaper now comes in. It's going to be hard to get a secondary scout. That's one of the reasons as to why Nidus Rooms can be popular on this map, and of course just the amount of dead space in the main base if they don't want a supply depot down.
Unfortunately, this is not a great map that lets you get too much done with Reapers in terms of scouting or even harass. So, Masa may have to consider potentially going for a scan later on, but for now, too early to tell.
Well, a couple of Lings are being annoying, but there's a Marine. Let's help the CD. There you go. Hellions are on the way, as well as Banshees. They did go this in another game. Forget which map. PRION, that's right. So they can be very effective against people that you're scared of going, if they're going for roaches, you know? If they had gotten a Banshee in the last game, that would have been a lot easier to clean up those roaches. It would have had a greater chance of dealing damage in return than the tank drop did, and it might have been able to actually see the roaches too beforehand and actually start doing damage. But the point is, the Banshee is a very useful tool against Zerg right now, because you're not really seeing anyone go for 2-base mutas, which is the direct counter to committal on Banshees. So it's a pretty safe bet. It is going to be Roaches as well as a third base from a yellow Zerg. Evo Chamber's also coming down. It's a nice macro right now. In that PRION TERRACES game, I mean, it started off with a 2-Rax Reaper that really kind of snowballed, not in like terms of numbers, but in terms of control over the game. It was the Reapers, then it was the Hellions getting in, and then the Banshee suddenly was doing a lot of damage. They're probably going to be looking for the same thing, of course, without those Reapers, but maybe the Hellions get in and deal some nice damage to the drone line, for instance. And the Banshee can still be a surprise, because Jon Snow and Jobamo don't have eyes on that starport.
Well, I guess the asterisk goes on about what the starport's going to bring in. These Hellions and the Reaper are hopefully not going to get a cancel on this base. I mean, it's getting dangerous to the point where if he doesn't cancel, it's almost worse than not canceling, though, because it's going to be so low for like a follow-up push to kill.
5 roaches are coming out now. They
And
are
blind spore crawlers, by the way. I like this, actually. Blind spore crawlers are something a little bit risky, but it does guarantee no banshees. But most importantly, liberators won't be able to kill you either.
Yeah, exactly. These are very useful. And it's possible that Terran's going for 3cc and they're completely useless, but even then they can surround the bases and hold off for medevac drops later on. The Banshee joins the party, and not in a harassment way, but just trying to simply take down the Queen sort of way. There's the cloak too, and the lair is not done. The Spore Crawler was made here and then moved over. That was really nice.
Counterattack, though. They slip past the wall into the natural base.
Oh,
I do feel like SCVs could probably fight this if they wanted to, though. I don't know about running away.
I think they realize it too. They need to help the Marines coming out anyways. Alright, so 4 SCVs go down. For a couple of roaches, I think a single queen. This queen almost went down. She actually lived.
I...
Yay. The Lings get a scout in the main base. That really shouldn't have happened, but I mean, they saw the 3rd CC in the front anyways, so I guess it's like, what kind of a scout is it really? Double engineering bays are a little bit later, of course, as they went for the Banshees, but are on the way. Did the Banshee die? Ah, that's what happened. That's where the Queen lived.
Yeah. So I was really hoping this was going to be nice for him, because this ruins the SERAS, and this is like one of the best maps for it. But they're going Roach Ravager Hydra instead, and just, I guess, one of the big things too is we didn't see the additional queens made. If you see about 5 queens in play, you can kind of guess at whether it's going to be Midnightus or not. With the Hydras, that'll be the anti-air, that'll be the potential lurkers later on. Banshee comes to finish off the work her sister couldn't finish earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Gonna be looking for openings, any openings, gas geyser drones, a queen that's just a little low on health, that type of thing, but not gonna find very much. Using it defensively is not a problem though, it's still very helpful. Even with the Hydras coming out, you can start chipping away at the roaches before it goes down at the very least. You can get a scout on when the push is coming too, like that's all important here. It is a much more equal game than at PRION TERRACES game, where we saw Roach Hydra just kind of fizzle because the game was already fizzling for the Zerg, and now the Terran's got to be very scared of a fairly good push at some point. If it's going to be with 2-2 or 1-1, I'm not quite sure. In Heart of the Swarm, it was almost always with 2-2, so you could just... You knew the timings pretty damn well in Heart of the Swarm. Thanks to the Void, it's a little more up in the air.
I did question how big of a timing impact has, though, in this game as well. It's... I mean this more in terms of the fact that it's the CSL more than Legacy of the Void, but timings are kind of hard to... How do I phrase it? Like, you're talking about everyone knows it in Heart of the Swarm, and that's all well and good, but it almost doesn't matter that you don't know it, because you get such better production now that you just kind of, boom, have units. The only thing influencing it in my books is just like whether you get the right units or not. But in that case, for Terran, it's easy. Just get Marines. Ha ha!
Yeah.
Time to use the Starcraft.
Sure. As funny as only Marines would be, though, double tank production is a lot safer of a composition against Roach Hydra. The secondary problem to this Roach Hydra like timing dilemma is like, you know, is it even going to be an attack? Oh, I thought they were gonna move in. So it can be an attack. They can just bulk up on Roach Hydra and then get a nice economy and a nice bank behind it, go for round 2 and 3, or they could simply get an army and try and go for Ultras or Vipers and start, you know, just taking advantage of your defensive position. So that's why drops are very important. You don't want them to be able to get 4th and 5th bases without really trying for it. And you also want to get scouts on the tech. Is the Hydralisk Den going to turn into a Lurker Den? Is it going to be a Hive? Is it going to be an Ultralisk Cavern that I can snipe off? All very important to scout with these medevac drops. So basically 4 medevacs, 2 on each side is a perfect way to do it. They really shouldn't go down. You Even though Hydra's gonna attack air, you should always be on top of it because there's a single micro player.
So I'm, of course, oohing at the fact that we got fungal growths, well, pathogen glands finishing up in a moment, but potential fungal growths in play. Well, we don't have a lot of Ravagers right now. This fungal Ravager combo that's been coming out has been really gross. Bottom side of the map, big fight going on, though. Medivacs do pick up and walk away. Corpse of the Ravager just kind of spread out on the ground. But yeah, fungal growths combined with corrosive biles have been some of the deadliest things to kill so much Terran and absolutely destroy drops.
This is maybe an overcommittal on drops. Has to be a fine balance. Although Ruins of Stars being such a big map helps that balance of, you know, dropping too much versus
main and natural.
Getting attacked because you're dropping too much. Main's covered, natural is taking some hits, and the third base is covered as well. But a main push is on its way. This might be a little too soon. We'll see, especially with how the tanks are going to be positioned. He does go for the fourth base. Everyone's going to cancel on that. But now the Infestors are out. The upgrade's going to be finished. This is a sizable Zerg army. This is not just a stim and win scenario.
Well, it might be a sizable Zerg army, but it is a very sizable Terran army as well. I guess with Zerg not being maxed out, it's going to be a little bit tough. Got a couple fungal growths ready. Misses the first one, only hits one Marine, actually. Ugh.
Yeah, that wasn't too good.
Drop of the main while this goes on, and they're going to have to give up one of the bases, and it looks like combination Infestation Pit, combination fourth base, or what's going to die. Ravagers do flank from the north side with those roaches. Microplayer action really kicking in as they pick up and try and float away, but no focus on the hatchery, and a very small amount of drones died. This does feel very not controlled out of ASM Masa. The main base is still being attacked while this goes on.
Yeah, I mean, this is overall going more poor for the Zerg player, but that entire fight was a little weird. This Banshee was getting a lot of kills on the backside, including some very important infestors, and Jobama and Jon Snow, well, they were trying to go for those fast ultras, but in doing so, they missed a pretty critical defense. They were down 20-30 supply because they were waiting for those ultras, and they took the engagement, which is even more of a mistake, you know? They could have lost the fourth base and just said, well, hope we get enough for ultras, and that has worked. You can recover from that. But they took the fight instead and just ended up losing. So that is going to be Terran's victory. ASM Masa, congratulations. We're going to the finals. Where they face another Zerg Archon. So it's going to be the Ryerson University team versus the Pikes Peak team. And that is a TVZ. It's also another best of 5, not a best of 7.
Woo! Double woo.
Yay. So, of course, everyone should be in the channel and ready to go. So we won't be going for too long of a break, but we still are going to go on a couple-minute break. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Oh, I actually don't have, like, a screen for this. Go, I'll take this one.